Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday afternoon. I'm Jurnee Taylor. We are halfway through the week. Here are the top stories we're following for you now at noon. Hunter Biden's plea deal with the DOJ appears to have fallen through. The latest in the president's son's legal battles and the next steps in the case. Plus, right now is the deadliest time of year for drivers. Why it's so dangerous and difficult for police in 5 minutes. And LeBron James' son suffered cardiac arrest while playing basketball yesterday. Later, we'll hear from health experts on what to keep an eye out for if you have kids in sports. But first, meteorologist Nathan Scott joins us. Nathan, it is Wednesday and the temperatures are just doing this. Up and away, and I'm over it.
For parts of the area this morning, Jurnee, but we woke up to a canopy of clouds and even a few spotty showers. Still a clump of clouds moving over Little Rock and off to the east, and that's holding the numbers down quite a bit. It's 85 in Little Rock. Meanwhile, it's 90 in Pine Bluff, 90 in Hot Springs, 91 in Arkadelphia, and 90 in Batesville. So as soon as these clouds clear out, up the numbers go. Those clouds are still producing maybe a few isolated sprinkles or even a quick shower moving through Lonoke County and also into Jefferson County. We have one lone shower here in Little Rock. These should start to fizzle out as the afternoon wears on. And your feels like numbers, because it's humid out there, it feels like 99 in Pine Bluff, feels like 104 in Arkadelphia, and it feels like 96 in Clinton. Highs today warming up into the low to mid 90s, maybe some upper 90s in northwest Arkansas, but these numbers will continue to climb over the next several days. I'll let you know how long this stretch of extreme heat will be sticking around and if there's any other chances of showers and storms coming up.
All right, thank you, Nathan. Well, new at noon, we have learned that Arkansas State Treasurer Mark Lowry passed away today at the age of 66. Lowry announced just yesterday that he would be retiring after suffering 2 strokes this year. The deputy treasurer and chief of staff will continue to run the office. They said in a statement their focus now is to honor Treasurer Lowry and continue doing the work on behalf of all Arkansans. Attorney General Tim Griffin said in a statement that Lowry fought for fairness in elections, and Arkansas is better because of his service. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders will appoint an interim replacement, and there will be an election for a new treasurer in 2024. Meanwhile, crews in Jefferson County are working to restore power at Jefferson Regional Medical Center after a fire at its Entergy transfer switch last night. Officials tell us the fire happened outside and no one was hurt. The hospital is currently operating on a generator and the emergency room is operational, but ambulances are being diverted to other hospitals and testing and procedures are being rescheduled. We do have a crew at the hospital right now and we'll have the very latest tonight at 5 and 6. We're also following several developing stories across the country this afternoon. Cleanup efforts are underway after a construction crane collapsed in a busy part of New York earlier this morning. It happened at a construction site in Midtown Manhattan when the crane caught fire around 7:30. Wow. You see it right there on your screen. Officials tell us the piece of equipment then collapsed along with 16 tons of cement. Fortunately, only 6 people sustained minor injuries, 4 civilians and 2 firefighters. I'm actually shocked to hear that. That's really good. Well, the Hunter Biden plea deal appears to be off. The judge hearing the case has raised concerns about the still ongoing investigation. The parties are still discussing next steps to see if the agreement can be salvaged. Skylar Henry reports from Delaware.
Hunter Biden arrived at a federal courthouse in Delaware, hoping to end a 5-year criminal investigation, but those hopes were dashed by the judge. The president's son had been planning to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor counts of willful failure to pay federal income tax. Under the deal, a 3rd charge of possession of a handgun by a drug user will be dismissed if Hunter Biden remains drug-free and commits no additional crimes for 2 years. That deal fell apart when Judge Mariella Noreika raised concerns about the agreement while an investigation is still ongoing. Hunter Biden said he would not plead guilty if he faced future charges.
Judges have wide discretion in how they handle these plea agreements. In some cases, they could accept it full on. In other cases, they could make changes. And in yet other cases, they could just reject it out of hand.
In an unusual step, the Republican chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee wrote to the judge asking her to hold off on agreeing to the deal in order to consider the testimony of IRS whistleblowers who claim their probe was blocked and the evidence supports felony tax charges. Republicans say they want to hear directly from the prosecutor who recommended the plea deal. They're calling for him to testify before Congress.
We've got this weird lack of clarity as to whether the Delaware U.S. attorney was able to pursue the investigation fully, whether he did fully.
U.S. Attorney David Weiss, a Trump appointee, says he is willing to testify. Weiss has also told Congress in writing that he had the ultimate authority on the case. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Wilmington, Delaware.
Closer to home, a former Bryant teacher is facing more accusations of sexual assault this week. 32-year-old Heather Hare was arrested in April after an investigation into an alleged relationship with a student. This week, she was arrested for a second time after another student came forward with more allegations. She's now facing several charges of first-degree sexual assault. Now, staying safe in the heat is something we talk about a lot in the summertime, but what about safety on the road? Well, it's an issue the city of Little Rock is working to improve. The number of deadly wrecks in the city continues to climb. THV 11 Sarah Hobakowitz breaks down what they're doing to keep drivers safe.
Across the state, we've seen a rise in traffic deaths since the pandemic. This year, Little Rock police say they've seen a rise in deadly crashes, up about 40% compared to last year. I spoke to the city to see how they respond to these accidents and engineer safer roadways.
We got the little Walkman up.
As the traffic engineer manager for Little Rock, it's William Henry's job to decide when you get the green light.
If you're driving above the speed limit, then you're going to be stopped more often. If you drive the speed limit, you can generally go all the way through the system nonstop.
His team has programmed traffic lights in the city to try and avoid accidents, even if some of their work slows you down by a few seconds.
We increase all red times on our arterials because of all the people that are running red lights.
Henry says those extra 2 seconds on red also protect pedestrians, but there's only so much a light can do.
Half of our fatals right now are pedestrian accidents, so you've got either pedestrians crossing outside of an intersection, crossing when it's dark.
This year, Little Rock has had 20 deadly traffic accidents. That's about 40% more than this time last year. And some of it, Officer Kyle Henson admits, is due to staffing shortages on the force.
Traffic enforcement sometimes takes a backseat. Sometimes it has to take a backseat because officers have to take calls for service. Those take priority.
LRPD says some of the most common spots for deadly crashes include University, Roosevelt Road, Markham, Baseline, and Geyer Springs, as police try to bulk up traffic enforcement where they can.
We try to keep up as much as we can with where it happens and sometimes we try to get some selective enforcement in the area.
Henry says they can't always just put in a new stop sign or crosswalk in problem areas, adding that legally the amount of cars and pedestrians has to warrant the change.
Good news for consumers. It looks like UPS and its Teamster union have reached an agreement to avoid a strike. The tentative deal, which was announced yesterday, comes after months of intense negotiations. More than 350,000 workers threatened a worldwide strike over pay, hours, and working conditions, which would have caused the largest single employer strike in U.S. history. The contract is a 5-year agreement that includes details on higher wages, workplace protections, and trucks with air conditioning. Union members still have to approve of the agreement. Voting on the new contract begins on August 3rd and ends on August 22nd. A consumer alert for you this afternoon. The CDC is investigating a multi-state salmonella outbreak that's been linked to ground beef. No deaths have been reported, but at least 16 people have gotten sick. 6 of them were hospitalized. The CDC warns beef should be cooked to an internal temperature of 160 degrees and that all surfaces and utensils, including cans that come in contact with raw beef, should be washed with soap and water. The Mayflower Police and Fire Departments want to join the growing list of Arkansas locations with the Safe Haven Baby Box. They've begun fundraising for the 18th baby box in the state. Now, the boxes are meant to be a safe and discreet location for parents to surrender infants. Both the fire chief and police chief say it doesn't matter if anyone uses the boxes. They just want the resource to be available for anyone who needs it.
You know, we give a safe, reliable option for mothers that are in crisis that need to surrender.
Any child that may be put into this situation, we want them to be safe.
The two departments say they are ready to respond, but this time they're looking to help before there's an emergency. They add it will help greatly for any mothers traveling through the state or who lives in their community. Well, most viewed on THV 11 right now, hundreds of laws are set to take effect next week. One of them, a major change to the hassle that is registering a new car. Starting August 1st, if you purchase a new car, your temporary tags will be valid for 60 days instead of 30. According to the Department of Finance and Administration, there are nearly 32,000 drivers on the road with expired temporary tags. That's 3,000 more than last year. State officials are hopeful these new rules will help cut down on that troubling trend.
I think it will help simply because, one, I think people get past that 30-day mark and think, well, I've gone this far, and now if I go back in, I'm going to pay the penalty. Because if you don't register it, pay the sales tax within 30 days, the state then applies a 10% penalty to your sales tax.
Now, it also changes the timetable for registering a car and paying the sales tax, as well as the deadline for people moving to the state to change their registration and license. Well, for the first time, we are seeing security camera footage of the last known whereabouts of a murdered man. This is video you will only see right here on THV 11. Marquise Martin was last seen 3 years ago at a USA Murphy's gas station in Monticello. Here you can see him at the window. Police are still unsure of where he went after, though. Then a couple weeks later, he was found dead in a creek. Now tonight at 10, THV 11's Ashley Godwin looks into the unsolved murder of Marquise Martin and how police are reviving the case with a new investigation. Two big-name athletes suffered heart problems this year. After the break, what doctors say are causing the problems and what you can look out for. Nathan?
We'll get some clouds out there across Little Rock and to the east, Jurnee, but once these clouds break up the temperatures go, and we're talking about turning up the heat, especially going to the weekend. Could we hit 100 degrees for the third time this year? I'll have more on that coming up.